I used to believe that meaningful impact only came through grandiose actions until a single piece of cake proved me wrong. I grew up in a big and a pretty close-knit family, and sometimes when we earned dessert, my mom would make what she called John Hoosier cake. I have no idea who John Hoosier is, but his cake is amazing. It's rich, it's chocolatey, it's really good. When I became an adult, I was suddenly responsible for providing my own desserts. So, for my birthdays, I usually treated myself to one of those 7-pound monstrosities that you find in the warehouse clubs. After a couple slices, we'd had enough. So under my wife's threatening glare, I would take the remaining pieces, wrap them up, and share with friends and neighbors. One night I was on the front porch of a family friend, and I had a substantial piece of cake in hand. Excited to share, I knocked on their door. Nothing. I knew they were home. I could hear movement. I could see shadows in front of the windows. And I thought, maybe they didn't hear me. A thought interrupted me, though. Go visit the neighbors. We had another friend that lived just around the corner. And I pushed that thought aside. I'll go there after I drop off this cake. I knocked again, harder. Still no answer. And that thought came back. Go visit the neighbors. So I did. And when I knocked on their door, my friend's wife opened the door. She took the cake I was still holding, and she said, "Thanks for coming. Our baby's sick, and we didn't know who to call. Can you help?" Because I listened to that voice, I ended up in the right place at the right time, and it felt great. But I didn't always listen. I remember the day I was sitting in my car, and a man came up and asked for money. We've all been there, right? He said, "I just need a few dollars for gas to get home." And I felt it. I felt that push to help. So I reached for the stack of bills I had in my pocket, and I said, "I'm sorry, but I can't." But I could, and it felt right. But instead of listening to that voice, I judged him. He didn't look like he needed money. He looked like he was on his way to work. I've thought of that moment over the years and wondered why that still bothers me when the dozens, the hundreds of people that I've passed by without a second thought are forgotten. The difference? Instinct, gut feeling, intuition, whatever you call it. It's that inner push that nudges you to act on something. The real problem was that I didn't listen to that voice. I didn't trust myself. And today, 20 years later, I still think I made a mistake. We've heard on stages and screens that kindness matters, that we should spread kindness, that we should practice random acts. What does that mean? What is kindness? First, kindness is not a transaction. It is not conditional. You do this for me because I need this from you, or you have something that I need, so I'm going to help you out. Kindness is being generous with our time, with our resources, with our friendship or compassion, without expecting anything in return. In his book, Thinking Fast and Slow, Daniel Kahneman explains that there are two ways that we process information. There's a fast, intuitive, emotional way, and there's a slow, methodical, logical way. We tend to give more weight to that slow, logical, well-researched thinking, and we let that limit our generosity. One of the things that I've seen is my wife. She does this naturally. She came home from the store with a small bouquet of flowers, and I assumed it was an impulse buy. until she asked our daughter, "Who do you know who needs flowers?" They collaborated and visited one of her friends. I thought it was a sweet gesture. They didn't expect anything in return. Kindness feels great. And it's not just in your head. There are real measurable benefits for your body and for your life. Plenty of scientific studies have demonstrated the link between expressing kindness and generosity and the release of dopamine and oxytocin for the giver and the receiver, as well as the observers. I happen to be the observer of those benefits of kindness the day that I came home from work. And I could tell that my wife had just finished baking a batch of chocolate chip cookies. They're my favorite, and hers are the best. I knew she and I could both benefit from her kind act of sharing a cookie with me. So I reached for one, and she slapped my hand away. I said, "Why can't I have one cookie?" And she said, "They're for another family." She loves and has helped me appreciate giving just to give. The viral messages of spreading kindness are inspiring. But something that Dr. Ishak of Cedars-Sinai said got me thinking. Biochemically, you can't live on the 3 to 4 minute oxytocin boost that comes from a single act. Acts of kindness have to be repeated to have any kind of lasting effect. I had been treating kindness as a reaction, a way that I could respond if the circumstances lined up and opened a window for a random act. But what if it's something I could initiate? What if I could create a kindness habit? I started toying with the idea of being kind on purpose, something now I teach my clients. And I thought about that leftover birthday cake. I was inspired by that, and I started making John Hoosier cakes, individual cakes, and giving them away every week. And I even sometimes will carry a stash with me just in case intuition strikes. And it often does. I was between meetings at a conference, and I saw a few friends chatting off to the side, and one of the women lost her husband a couple of years before. And when I saw her, I had the thought, give her a cake. I was well stocked that day. A couple of minutes later, when I saw her by herself, I handed her a cake and I told her I'd been thinking about her. This is bigger than random acts. There's something that can magnify our impact. And when I have thought about what makes the difference, what fuels our results, it's intuition. The bouquet of flowers, our daughter had no idea that her friend had just been diagnosed with anxiety and depression. The chocolate chip cookies, those friends were going through a rough patch that we didn't learn about until years later. And when I handed my friend the cake, she teared up and she said, "Sometimes I just feel sorry for myself because this isn't the life I imagined without my husband. Today was one of those days. But every time I feel this way, someone shows me unexpected kindness." Phone call or text message, or even a chocolate cake. But it happens every single time. The pattern is obvious. When we trust our instincts and do something good, we have a meaningful impact. This is what I mean by trusting your gut. When you have a thought to do something good, especially an unexpected thought, do it. This isn't about getting rid of cake. This is about being generous with our kindness on purpose whenever we want. The great thing is we can't mess this up. Anything we do to deepen our connection with another person will change lives. Dr. Murthy, the former Surgeon General of the United States, has said, we're living in a loneliness epidemic, and it's our connections with each other that will provide the solution that we all need, that will provide the healing that we all need. We are the solution. Whether I'm guiding a group of leaders or sitting one-on-one with someone who's trying to get their career back on track, I've seen that we as individuals and as groups can impact each other. Schedule time, think about who needs to be noticed, and find a way to demonstrate kindness. Let's make this a chocolate cake phenomenon. Don't overcomplicate it. It's not that deep, but it is that powerful. Have the courage to trust yourself. Let's do this together. Get out your cell phone. I'll wait. And you're going to open your alarm app. Set a new recurring alarm. Pick a day and time that works for you. For me, Sunday afternoon at 4 works. And you're going to label the alarm chocolate cake. And when the notification comes, just ask yourself the simple question, who needs to be noticed? And pay attention to who comes to mind. And honor that inner nudge. Otherwise, you'll talk yourself out of it. Don't stop yourself from doing something good. And you just might find that this becomes a natural habit of creating intentional kindness. Coretta Scott King said it best. The greatness of a community is determined by the compassionate actions of its members. So, who do you know who needs chocolate cake?